natin that the Bible is the Word of God, ibig sabihin, the Bible contains facts. No? May tinuturo ang Bible sa atin ng mga facts. And those facts record history. Kung paano tayo na-create, diba? Babasahin natin Genesis, creation, etc. So, all the contents of the Bible are actually a record of history. How we started until how we end. So that means na lahat ng mga events like Exodus, the plagues, lahat ng nangyari sa Bible, mga miracles, all the battles and controversies, all of these are events, historical events na nire-report ng Bible. And therefore, because they are the Word of God, ibig sabihin, ang intindi natin kung the Bible is true because it is factual, right? Because the Bible contains facts, it is a history of events, it is a history of facts. Therefore, because it is a fact, therefore it is true, right? So yun ang relationship between the events of the Bible or the contents of the Bible as facts, and therefore it is true, and therefore we should believe it, right? Tulad na nakasabi dito, the Bible said it happened, therefore it happened. And because it happened, it is true. Now, may implication yan sa atin on what we mean by faith. When we say, I have faith in the Bible, basically, what we are saying is, I accept the factness of the Bible. The Bible contains facts. Therefore, ang approach dito sa ganitong klaseng pagkaintindi sa Bible as the Word of God and the history of events containing facts, therefore, the Bible is to be taken literally. Okay? So, for example, the multiplication of the loaves, for example, no? Talagang this is literal, this happened, this is true, and therefore we believe in it. So we take the Bible literally. And that's why we can always take texts from the Bible and quote it to teach others because we believe that they are true because yun na nga, nangyari. If we read the Exodus, for example, yung 10 plagues, nangyari talaga yon para si Pharaoh would be convinced to let the people of Israel go. So nangyari yung events na yan. So therefore, we take the Bible literally because we accept the factness of the Bible. And as I said, ito yung prevalent, common ito sa lahat ng mga nagbabasa ng Bible. Usually, this is the approach that they take. Now, may benefits ito. This approach has good benefits for us because number one, klaro, it's the Word of God, and therefore, you either believe it or not. So there is no ambiguity. No? Everything is clear. And therefore, pwede natin gamitin ang Bible as a reference for our lives. Like we always say, what is God saying? So we read the Bible and then say, oh, this is what God is saying to me. And then it guides us to our lives. Ang isa pang advantage is, ang Bible, the physical Bible that we hold, sometimes represents the physical nearness of God, right? Kaya very reverent ang pag-hold natin sa Bible because in a way, that manifests the nearness of God to us physically, right? We can sense it, we can hold it, malapit sa atin. And that represents the nearness of God to us. And as I've said, because the Bible is taken literally, sometimes it can create dramatic change in the lives of people. Number one example is, of course, St. Ignatius. Diba? You know the story of St. Ignatius. He was wounded in battle. He was reading the Bible. He came across the verse, what does it profit a man to have gained the whole world, but in the process lose his soul? And that converted him. It hit him. Nagkaroon ng impact. And then he changed his life. So I'm presuming na may mga iba sa inyo nagkakaroon ng ganitong klaseng experience this. Let me share you one example of my classmate, high school, nung naging college na kami. She was in UP, and nasa JOMEX na ako. And then she wrote me kasi kinumusta ko yung kanyang how's your college studies. And then sabi niya, I've decided to postpone my college education because God told me to go to Korea. No? Kasi mag-ano siya ng mission. God told me, and sabi niya, that came from reading the Bible. So parang there was a literal conversation between God and her that told her to go to Korea. And she did. Nag-volunteer siya sa mission doon. So that's what I mean na the Bible can inspire dramatic change in our lives. However, if we stick to the literal factual approach to the Bible, we run into problems immediately. Kasi hindi natin maiwasan na we will observe that the Bible has inconsistencies and disagreements within itself. Okay? So there are inconsistencies and disagreements. Let's look at some examples. So, right from the beginning, the story of creation, may dalawang kwento about how we were created. Genesis 1. Okay? If you read Genesis 1, makikita mo na God is presented here as a very powerful God. Just by His word, He creates. Okay? And in the order of creation, yung tao, the human being, is the last created. Kasi siya ang climax eh. So first, light and darkness, then sky and earth, then vegetation, heavenly bodies, animals, and then the sixth one is the human. And then God rests. And then when God created the human being, He created them both simultaneously, just by His word. Okay? So once nabasa mo na yung Genesis 1, and then God rested, okay na, ayos na, buo na yung creation. Then you go to Genesis 2. About Genesis 2 repeats creation. But, iba naman ang picture. Kasi dito, God is not so powerful. He uses mud, di ba, to shape the human being. He gets the ribs to operate, to create a woman. So, ang picture ng God dito sa Genesis 2 versus Genesis 1 is like, God is like a human being in Genesis 2. He plants gardens. Okay? At saka, parang nag-experiment pa siya. No? He did not, according to Genesis 2, God did not create the male and female at the same time. He created the male first. And then, when He observed na malungkot yung lalaki, saka siya gumawa ng babae. And then, before God created the woman, nag-experiment muna siya kasi titingnan niya kung alin ba ang magandang partner para sa lalaki. And the way He tested is pinarada niya yung mga hayop sa harap ng lalaki. Tingnan kung sino ang magandang partner ng lalaki. And then sabi ng lalaki, they are not fit partners for me. And then God finally decided to create the female. And then the female became the best partner for the male. This is flesh of my flesh. No? So we have two pictures of creation here na medyo nagbabanggaan. So that is what I mean, na if we take the Bible only from the literal factual approach, we begin to encounter some problems like disagreements. This is one of them, Genesis 1 and 2. Marami pang iba, but let's look at other examples. The story of Jesus' birth. Now, lahat tayo familiar sa kwento na how Jesus was born dahil it comes around every Christmas time. We are familiar with the stories. But if you look at the two authors na sumulat ng tungkol sa birth ni Jesus, they don't agree. Or iba ang kanilang kinukwento. Si Matthew, ang una niyang kinuwento is the genealogy of Jesus beginning from Abraham all the way to Jesus. Tapos yung annunciation by the angel did not happen to Mary, but to Joseph. Si Joseph ang sinabihan ng angel na Mary will have a child. Followed by the birth of Jesus, tapos the wise men, tapos tumakas sila to Egypt dahil kay Herod. And then nagkaroon ng Massacre of the Innocents. Yan ang kwento ni Matthew. Pag binasa nyo naman si Luke, iba naman. Ang kay Luke naman, nag-start sa birth ni John the Baptist na hindi kinuwento ni Matthew. And then ang Annunciation is to Mary, not to Joseph. Nagkaroon ng census according to Luke. Tapos the birth of Jesus. Ang bumisita kay Jesus are the shepherds, not the 3 wise men according to Matthew. Tapos nagkaroon ng presentation at the temple. And then the lost and finding the temple. And finally, it ended with a genealogy. Pero baliktad. It starts from Jesus going up to Adam. Matthew, pababa, from Abraham to Jesus. Kay Luke, pataas, from Jesus to Adam. Okay? Again, dahil familiar tayo sa story ng Christmas, pinagsasama natin itong lahat. No? Yung ating pagkwento sa mga anak natin about the story of Christmas. We combine these two materials together. But if you are strict about it, hindi talaga sila nagkaka-agree. Right? And then, ang isa pa rito is, Mark and John don't even report anything about the birth of Jesus. Okay? So again, kung literal factual lang ang ating approach to scriptures, then we come across problems like this. Inconsistencies and contradictions paminsan. Third example, 7 palabras. Alam natin to because this is a devotional practice that we have every Holy Week. So ito yung 7 words of Jesus, the last words of Jesus. In this order. Like, my God, Father, today you will be with them, etc. All the way to, it is finished. But, kung talagang pag-aaralan natin ng Gospels, each evangelist reports different words. For example, si Mark and Matthew lang nagka-agree na ang sinabi ni Jesus is, my God, why have you forsaken me? And nothing else. Luke says, Father, forgive them. Today you will be with me in paradise. Into your hands I commend my spirit. Na walang sinabi na hindi sinabi na Matthew and Luke and Mark. John reports the other sentences of Jesus na hindi rin magka-agree kay Luke and Matthew and Mark. So I hope you see what I'm saying here, no? Kung literal factual approach, sasabihin natin, oh, Jesus said 7 last words. But kung susuriin talaga natin ang Gospels, iba, who said what Jesus said? Yun ang question doon, no? Because Mark and Matthew report something different, Luke reports something different, John reports something different. So those 3 examples hopefully will show na literal factual approach is good, but kulang. And that is why it has to be complemented by a historical-metaphorical approach. So ngayon, pag-aaralan natin kung ano ang characteristic nitong second approach. First of all, historical. No? Dalawa historical-metaphorical. So historical. So ang approach dito is tinitingnan yung historical context ng Bible mismo. Because the Bible consists of books within a book. Okay? So, and then it took years in the making. For example, ang New Testament, mga 50 years before nabuo. And hindi talaga officially declared as a book, yung New Testament, until 367 CE. So you can see na the Bible is not a record of history, but a product of history. It is a product of history. Dumaan ito ng formation. And so, you know, when I was still in high school, nagkaroon ako ng ambition eh. Sabi ko, babasahin ko ang Bible from cover to cover. So nagsimula ako sa Genesis, Exodus. Pagdating sa Leviticus, patay. Bored na ako. Hindi ko na maintindihan kasi puro laws. So, why? Because the Bible, precisely we said, consists of many books. na pinagbuo sa isang book. So you cannot read it like an ordinary book, like you would read a novel. So therefore, if the Bible is a product of history, then it is also a piece of literature. Okay? And alam natin na every literature may nire-reflect na culture. A literature reflects a culture of the one writing. Second, being a piece of literature, it has structure and style that you have to be familiar with in order to understand what it's saying. Let me give you an example. If you get a newspaper today, Philippine Daily Inquirer, for example, or whatever. Ang Philippine Daily Inquirer, ang first page would be headlines, right? Inside, meron kang mga opinions, and then meron kang pages siguro na puro advertisements, and then meron kang comic section. So when you read a newspaper, you do not read it from the same approach throughout. Kasi alam mo na when you're reading headlines, alam mo na it's about events. But when you go to comics, you would not read comics the same way as you would read current events, right? Kasi alam mo, comics ito eh, right? So, iba naman ang structure ng comics, iba ang style ng comics, so you would read it differently. Hindi mo i-take literally ang contents ng comics the same way you would take the contents of the news. The same thing when you read advertisements. The same thing when you read opinions. So, the Bible is somewhat similar to this. The Bible has different kinds of literary forms, meron siyang style, meron siyang sarili niyang language na you have to be familiar with, na hindi mo lang basta-bastang kunin literally and factually. The final characteristic of the Bible as literature is yung author, meron siyang influence in how the story is being told. So hindi siya, unlike a book of history, halimbawa na sabihin natin objective, ang author ng Bible sa mga stories, meron siyang gustong ibahagi na personal experience niya. So he has an influence in how the story is being told. And therefore, kapag binasa natin ng Bible, very important na malaman natin ang historical context as well as the literary context. Hindi lang natin basta-bastang basahin and then sabihin natin, eto yung ibig sabihin, kasi literal eh. Now, hindi lang historical approach, kung hindi metaphorical din. So now here, sa metaphorical, we are talking about language. Now, what do we mean by metaphor? A metaphor is a language of comparison. Okay? Of course, when we compare, then we are comparing basically two realities. Ano? Yun ang ibig sabihin ng metaphor. We compare two realities. And in order to understand better what metaphor means, maybe we should understand what simile, kasi they are similar. For those of you who studied under Father Bob Sullivan, the late Father Bob Sullivan, siguro he taught this. But it's good to review. So first of all, what is a simile? A simile is a way of comparing two realities, but with the help of words like or similar to. O kung sa Tagalog pa, parang, tulad. No? Example, my love is like a red, red rose. So, kino-compare ang rose with love. Pero in between the comparison is the word like, tulad. My love is like a red, red rose. And here is from gaano kita kamahal, di ba? Ang pag-ibig ko ay hindi kukupas tulad din ng umagang may pag-asang sumisikat. So, again, love is being compared with the rising sun, with sunrise. The sureness of sunrise is being compared with the sureness of love. And then sa gitna nun is sinasabing, tulad. No? Pag-ibig ko ay tulad ng pagsikat ng araw. Okay? So that is simile. There is a use, they use the words like or similar to or parang or tulad. The metaphor is also comparing two realities, but the metaphor does not use like or similar to or parang or tulad. Parang may identification. My love is a red, red rose. Right? Dalawang comparison na parang almost identical kasi walang word na tulad. No? You are the sunshine of my life. Okay? Two realities, sunshine and you. And hindi niya sinasabing you are like the sunshine of my life, but you are the sunshine of my life. That is metaphor. You are the wind beneath my wings. Again, two comparisons, wind at saka ikaw. And you are the wind beneath my wings. So, I hope nakita niyo yung difference, ano? Metaphor is comparing two realities without the use of words like similar to or like. And it's very important because here is the thing about the metaphor. Okay? Sa metaphor, because walang words na tulad or parang, akala mo may identification. Pero you also know na may identification but at the same time non-identification. For example, when you tell your loved one, you are the wind beneath my wings, maintindihan ng wife mo na hindi siya hangin, right? So hindi may identification and at the same time non-identification. Okay, so that's one characteristic of metaphor. Identification and non-identification at the same time. Secondly, with metaphor, maraming possibilities of meanings. For example, pag sinabi ko, siya ang aking kanang kamay. Siya ang aking kanang kamay. Number one, it's not literally na kamay, right? So that's not literal. Rather, ano ang association mo sa kanang kamay? Reliability, diba? Availability, maasahan. So, maraming associations in a metaphor. The two realities are being compared and there are levels of meanings na pwede mong ibigay. So therefore, ang metaphor is profoundly true, but not literally true. This is very important to remember. Metaphor is profoundly true, but not necessarily literally true. Like I said, kanang kamay. He is my right hand. God is at my right hand. Ano ibig sabihin? Nandito sa kanan ko ang Diyos? No, that's not what we mean. When we say God is my right hand, God is my partner. I rely on Him. He is trustworthy. Ayan, yan ang mga associations of meaning. So metaphor actually is the language that is used for love. Just try to remember nung nililigawan niyo yung inyong mga wives. No? Ano yung mga sinasabi niyo sa kanya? You do not, alam mo, hindi niyo sasabihin, alam mo dear, nung una kitang nakita, yung aking blood pressure ay naging 130/90 at yung aking heart ay nagkaroon. You don't describe those things to your loved ones in a scientific language. You don't use medical terms to describe your feelings towards your loved ones, no? Rather, you use metaphor. Diba? Sabi ba, nung una kitang nakita, nako, lumutang ako. Right? Lumutang ako. You did not really float, but the association of that is joy, uplifting, inspirational. So metaphor is the language of love. Here is another thing. Metaphor is the language of faith. Metaphor is the language of faith. And metaphor is the language of spirituality. Because we are talking about relationships now. Therefore, metaphor is the language of the Bible. So very important to understand the Bible as a metaphor, because we are talking about a love relationship, a faith relationship, a poetic relationship. And so maraming possible meanings. So therefore, here we can make a difference, no? Doon sa unang approach, truth is identical to fact. Sa metaphorical approach, truth and fact are not necessarily identical. Truth and fact are not necessarily identical. Ang una is we say, because it happened, it is true. Sa second approach, even if it is not factual, the message is true. So it is the meaning that contains the truth. So let's take some examples na hindi Biblia. For example, mga librong Harry Potter. For example, kung sino man ang nakabasa ng Harry Potter. Alam natin na, you know, mga lumilipad na mga bata, etc., mga brooms, yung kanilang Quidditch games, no? We know that those are not true. Those are not factual. But are the Harry Potter books true? Yes. Because behind doon sa mga kwentong lipad-lipad, magic-magic, etc., ang kwento talaga ng Harry Potter is a child going to school for the first time and meeting new friends. And syempre sa school, may mga bullies, ha? May mga bullies, nagde-develop ng best friends, may mga competition, jealousy. You know, in other words, Harry Potter books are about a child coming of age. That is the truth. That is true. Kasi yan din ang experience ng mga anak natin when they go to school for the first time. They meet new friends. Mga iba gusto nila, mga iba hindi. Mga iba nabubuli, mga iba, you know. So all the adjustments in learning how to live with your fellow classmates are being told dito sa Harry Potter books. And so that's what I mean, no? Na just because hindi literal or hindi factual doesn't mean that the message is false. Because truth and fact are no longer tied together. It can be factual and it can be true, but it can be non-factual, but the message is still true. So if we try to form a conclusion about the historical-metaphorical approach, number one, yung sinabi natin una, the Bible is seen as from above, no? Dito, may binibigyan ng emphasis on the below, looking the Bible as coming from below. In other words, the human words, the human experience. So, ang una is Bible, the Bible is a record of history. Itong second approach is the Bible is the product of history. So the Bible is not above history, but rather is developed historically din. So important dito sa historical-metaphorical approach, bago natin tanungin, what is God saying? Or why did God do this way? The question that we should first ask is, why did the writers say that God acted this way? I hope you see the difference, no? Hindi mo na natin tatanungin, bakit ito sinabi ni Jesus? Rather, ang tatanungin natin is, bakit sinabi ni Mark na ganito ang sinabi ni Jesus? Do you see the difference there, no? So the historical metaphorical approach takes into consideration the human factors in the writing of the story. So the truth of the story is beyond the fact of the story. Because sabihin dito is, a story may or may not have factual foundations. Let me give an example. Exodus. Actually, may dalawang versions na Exodus if you read it closely. One is yung super spectacular, yung tubig, dividing into walls, ganun talaga. And usually ito ang ginagamit na basis sa mga sinihan. If you all the movies of old, mga past movies about the Exodus, talagang special effects eh. Makikita mo talaga na yung tubig talagang humiwalay, ganun. Do they have facts? There may be a factual foundation na nakatakas ang mga tao from Exodus. Pero ang nangyari siguro is yung fact, yung event na naging basehan ng story, na yung tinatawag natin, the facts have become metaphorized. Binigyan na ng mas marami pang meaning kesa doon sa actual event. Let me give another example. 1986 revolution, EDSA, di ba? So I hope lahat familiar dun sa EDSA revolution, So that was an event sa ating history sa Pilipinas. Later on, as the years went by, mas marami ng meanings na binigay dun sa EDSA revolution. Possibly beyond what the event actually meant. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng the facts have become metaphorized. They have been given greater meaning than what originally was the meaning of the event. So some final thoughts dito. Okay? Yung factual literal approach remains valid kasi we still need to read the scriptures and start from what the Bible is saying literally. So it's valid up to a point. But the second approach, yung historical-metaphorical approach, mas binubuksan yung richness ng Bible. Nagkakaroon tayo ng richer understanding because we are approaching the Bible from a historical-metaphorical approach. Ang ibig sabihin dito is, na-understand natin yung experience ng community dun sa story na yon. So hindi lang sinasabi ng Diyos, ito yung utos ng Diyos, but ano yung experience ng community dito sa story na ito? So, ang isa pang advantage ng historical-metaphorical approach is open na tayo sa non-religious sciences. Okay? Because we approach the Bible from a historical-metaphorical approach, then open tayo sa mga findings ng sociology, anthropology, archaeology, history. Sometimes, kapag literal lang yung ating approach sa Bible, hindi natin sometimes, hindi tayo open immediately to sciences. Sabihin natin, no, it contradicts what happened, what the Bible said, so we cannot accept it. Case in point, of course, is sa cosmology, sa physics, sa astronomy, noong yung Copernican revolution, di ba? Kasi the Bible said that the earth is the center of creation and everything revolves around it. Literal yun. And then so when science came along, sinabi na actually hindi, the earth is actually going around the sun. Hindi matanggap kaagad ng simbahan kasi literal factual approach ang kanilang approach sa Bible noon. But by understanding that the Bible is a product of history, then mas open tayo sa findings ng science. So mas nagiging richer at saka mas malalim yung intindi natin sa contents of the Bible. So the Bible at saka yung community, about the Christian community or the Jewish community, the Bible and the community, merong, again, bumabalik tayo dun sa chicken and egg relationship, Hindi natin pwedeng mahiwalay ang Bible from the community. The Bible is part of the community. Kaya, ang kwento ng Bible is the experience of the community. Tapos yung experience naman ng community, guided by the stories of the Bible. So yun ang relationship nila na mutual ang kanilang, So hindi talaga natin pwedeng ihiwalay yung Bible from the experience of the community. I found this text from a book that I was reading na nakasabi, the stories in the Bible are true and some of them may even have happened. Okay? The stories in the Bible are true. Some of them may even have happened. What this means is, yun na nga, ang truth ng Bible, the message of the Bible, sometimes go beyond the event that happened. So, according to the author nung itong the one who quoted this, nakalagay doon na narinig daw niya yun sa sermon ng isang oblate. So, I'm not sure kung sino yung oblate, hindi niya identify. But if this quote really came from an oblate, I'm not surprised kasi tayong mga oblates, meron tayong realistic point of view eh. So the stories in the Bible are true. Some of them may even have happened. That means that truth and fact, when it comes to the Bible, are not necessarily identical. Because something can be truly, deeply true, but may not necessarily be fact. And hindi lang sa Bible yan. For example, anybody who is familiar with Aesop's fables, for example, the rabbit and the turtle, di ba? May karera yung rabbit at turtle. And then the turtle was slower with the rabbit, may kumpiyansa, so he rested along the way and dinaanan siya ng turtle. And the turtle won. Is it factual? Absolutely not. Dahil walang karera. Hindi pwede tayo mag-establish ng karera between a rabbit and a turtle. But is the message true? Yes. Beware of overconfidence. Do not overestimate yourself. Because if you do, then you might get lost along the way. So there is something true in the story of the rabbit and the turtle, even though it was not factual. That should be also our approach in the Bible stories, because some of them may have happened, but what happened is not the most important thing. The most important thing is, what is the message? Because there, in that message, is the voice of God. And that is the end of my presentation. I will stop here. Paano ko ba i-stop ang share?
Yeah.
And I give it back to Rudy.
Okay. Thank you very much, Father Toto. Nirecord ko ito pero hindi ko naumpisahan yung doon sa umpisa kasi nung pinasa ko yung host kay Father Toto, nawala yung control ko kaya hindi ko na-record. But anyway, nirecord ko rin. Next time it will be better. Bago tayo mag-end, ipapasa ko kay President Noel Dignadice ang floor and or Cody for baka may mga announcement o baka meron silang gusto pang i-fine tune. Isa sa mga i-fine tune natin yung oras. Okay ba kayo sa oras? Kasi sa akin, alauna na dito ng madaling araw, 1:16. Pero ako lang yon. Kung marami tayo, then let's change the schedule. Pero kung ako lang yon, fine. Kasama ko naman yung misis ko. Okay lang yon, walang problema. That's one. And pagdating sa questions, isang question kay Ote, pero sabi niya nasagot na raw. And then, nagpapasalamat din siya. Very enlightening daw. More sessions. Yeah, meron tayo next week. Si Arvin, humingi siya ng copy ng material. Pwede ba nating i-share, Pads, yung copy ng material by email? Kung isa-send, si Cody, meron siyang email address ni Father Toto, and he has everybody's email addresses din eh. So pwede sigurong kay Cody ipapadala, Pads, and then padala niya sa lahat. Kung okay sa'yo yung material na ginamit ngayong gabi, yung slides. And of course, yung explanation sa recording. Yung recording, ipapadala ko kay Cody. Siya nang meron, kasi I think Cody and there are other brothers na lalo na si Sam Acosta na magaling sa IT, and they can probably make the recording or the file light and portable, so pwedeng either sa YouTube o kung saan ba nila platform ipapasok, ma-access natin lahat and pwedeng ma-review ng mga hindi naka-attend. Si Tony, thanks Father Toto. Arvin, personal experience. Galing-galing daw, sabi ni Otep. Si Peter, galing Father Carag. Na-refresh daw siya sa authenticity ng Bible. Thank you. Noel Filongco, very enlightening lecture sharing. Nababasa niyo naman lahat yan. Tama ba ako doon? Andali, pwede kayong mag-unmute kung mali ako ha. Yung chat na lumalabas dito, nababasa niyo rin ba yan? Yeah. So, kung may questions, pwede na rito sa chat pads. Okay ba sa'yo kung sa chat idaan? Andali, pads.
Yeah, oo. Pag meron akong nakuhang question na na kailangan pa ng konting research, then I will reserve it for ano. Pero
Yeah.
kung may nakita akong isang tanong about whether literal and literalistic are one and the same. Yeah, actually literal is being a literalist. And yes, that's the same. Yeah. Same
Okay.
meaning.
Okay.
And then the others, wala na ako nakitang questions. So, ligtas na ako.
Meron pa ba kayong questions? Pwede yung dito ilagay sa sa chat. Arvin, may screenshot.
But Rudy?
Yes, Pads.
Pwede kong ang gagawin ko is i-convert ko into PDF yung aking presentation, and then I can make it available sa lahat.
Okay. Cody, okay bang sa iyo dadaan yung mga documents? Pati yung recording, papasa ko sa iyo. Asa ba si Cody? Ayun. Sorry. Pwede. Okay, sa iyo papadala ni Father Toto yung yung notes, and then itong recording i-forward ko din sa iyo. Kayo na bahala.
Sige,
kung kailangan pa i-convert o hindi na or whatever.
Sige.
Yung ang suggestion ko malagay sa YouTube para pwede ma-access ng iba. Okay ba 'yon? Pwede ba 'yon? Okay. All right, thank you.
Sige, bro.
Ayun, marami tayong mga expert diyan eh. Magagawa 'yan. Meron pa tayong closing debt. Sandali.
Yeah, Ruds, tanong mo natin kay Father Toto kung okay sa kanya sa YouTube. Kasi baka mamaya I'm not sure kung willing ba tayo i-share sa YouTube or what. Kasi everybody can access, di ba? Pero it's okay to me. Mas maganda yun.
Pads.
I have, wala akong objections. Ang kuwan ko lang is, of course, because Tagalog yung ating language, hindi talaga universally ng everybody. But kung limited sa group natin, sure, why not? Kasi, if it helps the others na hindi nakapag-join.
Yeah. Hindi ko na umpisahan yung yung recording sa umpisa talaga, pero substantially ando naman. Cody, anong tingin mo doon? Ilalagay pa ba sa YouTube or pwede nang gawing portable siya and then doon na lang sa JOMEX Pilipinas magiging available? Pwede ba 'yon?
Either ways, bro, pwede. Pwede nating ilagay sa YouTube or i-send ilagay. Tingnan natin. Tingin ko may cap yung Facebook pag upload ng video pag mabigat.
Yun na nga.
Pero kung mako-convert natin yung file para mas magaan siya at ma-upload sa JOMEX page, mas exclusive sa atin din.
Pwede.
Either ways, pwede naman. Pwede.
Pero kung hindi siya kasya dun para sa Facebook, sa YouTube talaga, di ba? Yun ang ano eh. Alam ko, yun ang ganun ang ginagawa eh. Or Google. Anyway, we'll leave it to the expert. Kasi pag wala tayong magawa, kung hindi talaga siya makaya sa YouTube, sa Facebook, doon sa YouTube siya inilalagay, di ba?
Priority muna natin bro yung yung sa JOMEX page.
Okay.
Para kung may lagay natin doon, pag hindi din hanap tayo ng ibang channel. Kung
Okay.
paano Pero priority natin yung sa JOMEX Pilipinas kasi yun yung official site ng JOMEX para private din.
Okay.
Tayo lang nakakakita.
Okay.
May suggestion yata si bro Sam.
Acosta.
Oo.
Sam?
Bro Sam. Nakita ko sa chat eh.
Ayun, salamat po.
Sam.
Hello sir, narinig na po.
Nadinig ka namin.
Pwede po kasi nating gumawa ng Facebook page event na private, so which means only those with the link or invited will be able to see the content. At the same time, pwede po natin doon i-live Facebook feed. So automatically recorded po ng real time yung session natin, and it has also possible wider coverage when it comes to mga participants natin or invited na hindi po maka-join. Kasi base doon sa aming batch, for example, we wanted last time to have a Zoom, but I think most of them cannot join Zoom probably for so many reasons, including bandwidth problems. So kaya sa tingin ko mas mainam po kung sa Facebook. And then, of course, still private din po yun. Suggestion.
Ibig mo sabihin, Sam, hindi na tayo sa Zoom, doon na tayo sa Facebook? Parang live?
Zoom pa rin po, and simultaneously broadcasted with live feed po diretso sa Facebook event.
Okay. Sinong pwedeng gumawa niya? Kasi hindi ko alam yun kung paano gawin.
Pwede tayong...
Si Bro Sam.
Ikaw na, Sam, gagawa? Okay.
Ayos.
Tayong mag-volunteer, sir.
Okay. Now, doon sa recording, yung para ma-access ng mga mayroon ng recorded material.
Auto-recorded.
Pwede na sa Facebook din.
Facebook page, sir.
Ibig ko sabihin, itong ngayon, halimbawa, hindi ito nakadiretso sa Facebook.
Oh.
Pwede ba itong ma-upload sa Facebook din?
Pwede pa rin po. Pero ideally, pagka kunyaring mas mainam kung mag-compress sa YouTube. Sino po may recording, sir? Mayroon akong nag-record pero late din eh.
Ako nga. Ako din. Meron din ako pero Cody, anong hatol mo rito?
Yan, okay ako sa suggestion ni Bro Sam para wider, though hindi naman lahat may FB, pero karamihan meron. So wider coverage ang magiging approach natin. So mas maganda.
For next session.
For next session. Tapos itong ngayong recording ng video ng conference ng lecture natin, i-upload na lang sa JOMEX Pilipinas page.
Ikaw ang gagawa.
Sige.
Okay.
Send mo na lang sa akin yung ni-record mo, bro, kahit hindi rin ako nakapag-record eh.